All right, everyone, welcome back to this Beefcast presentation. I'm your casting host, Beef, bringing you Game 2 of this best-of-3 series in the semifinals of the Clan Buzz Open #1. Here on Antigua Shipyard, in the top left-hand corner, we do have the Blue Terran up 1-0 in this series, only one game away from making it way to the finals of the very first Clan Buzz Open. He is DarkShadow. And in the bottom right-hand corner, the Orange Terran down 1-0 and only one game away from falling out. So close to the finals right now is the Orange Terran, Wendell. So last game we did see that the Blue Terran, we have DarkShadow up here, did choose to go 1-1-1 into an all-in utilizing a Raven. And it was extremely effective. Perhaps these players know each other a little bit better than I know each one of them. Wendell has shown himself in his previous TVTs to be a very effective macro Terran, and so he might have had a little bit of a hard time defending something like an all-in there. So that is in fact what DarkShadow is choosing to do. We'll see if he does in fact choose to go that route again, or if he varies up his play. Here on Antigua Shipyard with cross positions, there's going to be a pretty long push distance for these players, but a relatively even matchup here with TVT and opposite spawns, so I'm looking forward to a very good game between these players. At this point, neither player has opted to drop a gas, so no early gases like last game, but we'll see how they in fact choose to play this out. First gas does come down by Wendell here on 14 supply. So with that gas, he's going to be able to take a pretty early tech lab. He's shown us in previous games that he likes to get that early tech lab with a Reaper for a Reaper expand, and then use that tech lab also to start early stim. So we'll see if that's the route that he chooses to go again. Both players are going to be starting to send out some SCVs to try to scout their opponent. Neither player able to find their opponent. And right now, DarkShadow going the opposite of last game, managing to take an early CC here. So CC after racks, very common. But no gases. So this is going to put himself into a very good economic position, provided that he doesn't take a lot of early harassment right now. And with that early tech lab that is just coming down from Wendell, he does have the opportunity to provide some pretty early harass in the form of a Reaper, or in the form of something like a Marauder push. But we'll see if that is in fact what happens. The SCV going to make its way into the base over here, probably going to make its way up the ramp. I'd like to see it make its way up the ramp over here. Hasn't quite noticed that he's hit a wall off just yet, but there we go. Okay, so he does in fact see that there is a tech lab, and with that tech lab he's knowing that his opponent does have a gas, and the possibility of Reaper is very much so there. So the Reaper already in production, going to be making its way across the map at some point here, and Marine already going to be trying to cut off any kind of Reaper pathway into the base. As this command center finishes up over here, there's going to be double production of SCVs and probably even double orbital commands. So DarkShadow is going to get himself into a pretty decent lead. Once again, the command center going to be dropped by Wendell, so this is just going to be Mr. Bitter's favorite once again, the Reaper expand. Stimpack going to be starting to finish here, or starting to produce here on the tech lab. So any kind of a 7-8 minute timing could be in the works now for our Terran player, but with no additional barracks being dropped right now, he's not really going to be able to ramp up his production. There's the first additional barracks, bringing his total up to 2, but nothing too much right now. And the Reaper actually managing to slip right by the Dragnet of Marines right there and get into the mineral line, forcing a little bit of lost mining time with those SCVs. Does not manage to kill a single SCV. Well, yeah, no, not a single SCV. So that is unfortunate right now for Wendell. That Reaper did manage to get some decent scouting information, manages to get the information on the 2 gas timing, so he might be able to read something from that. But behind this, DarkShadow is going to be using his gold, or his mineral surplus, not Warcraft 3, his mineral surplus to drop down an additional 3 barracks in addition to a tech lab. Tech lab probably going to be starting either combat shield or stim pack very soon here, and it looks like DarkShadow might be looking to hit a time over back on Wendell's side of the base. An engineering bay in addition to 2 additional barracks have been thrown down. 1 additional barracks is going to be completing, probably going to be going into double reactor at the same time, and looking for a factory to come down with this 100 Vespene gas that has been accumulated at this point. Constant SCV production out of both of these players is going to bring their economies pretty well into line, but we'll see what he does, our blue player DarkShadow does choose to do with these 3 additional barracks. Alrighty, so reactor finally finishing up on this first barracks. It takes a really long time for reactors to start, or to finish producing and start kicking in. Tech Lab is going to continue researching Combat Shield now as soon as that stim pack is done. Stim being started finally for our Blue Terran, and unless there's a really aggressive push out here in the next 45 seconds or so by Wendell, the stim timing is really going to be lost. There's this period right now where stim is done for one player, not for the other, where he could have a timing, but he just doesn't have the production to really make use of it right now. The barracks were really late, so it's just not going to happen. +1 weapons for his infantry, already half of the way done for Wendell. Both players going to be dropping their factories now, trying to get up to that starport, get their medevacts out as soon as possible. But right now, DarkShadow is in a pretty serious production lead, operating off of a total of 4 factories, 3 of them with reactors versus 3 factories with only 1 with the reactor. Second reactor finally coming up now, and DarkShadow is just going to be able to consistently outproduce his opponent. Going to be able to take a pretty significant supply lead and hold on to it for the remainder of the foreseeable future, unless there's a large engagement or his economy gets hampered. But right now, DarkShadow is looking extremely good. He's going to have a little bit slower medevacs than his opponent, but we'll see if that comes back to bite him in the ass or not. Stim pack finally going to be completed here for our blue player with a bunker down in the front. He's done a pretty good job of defending himself, other than that SCV in there. That SCV is not going to do a very good job of defending the base whatsoever. Wendell hitting a pretty hard supply block here. Unfortunate for him because he's already behind in production. He's already down 35 supply when compared to his opponent. And it looks like DarkShadow is actually going to just continue scanning, wants to see what the army composition, army size of his opponent is, and make sure that army is still there. That's the big thing. If the army's out somewhere on the map, that's going to be kind of scary for him. Double engineering bay finally coming down for our blue player. He's going to start his upgrades right there. Engineering bay did go ahead and finish up +1 weapons. +1 armor is now going to be starting, so both of these players are going to be hitting their +1/1 at roughly the same time, a little bit, about 45 seconds earlier for our orange player. It looks like supply depot is going to be coming down in absolute spades right now for our blue player. Make sure he does not want to get hit by any supply blocks whatsoever. And the previous title of Macro Terran now looks like it's going to be going to the other player. DarkShadow just able to macro up extremely well right now. I'm very impressed with the macro of this player. With medevac starting to come out right now, he's looking like he's going to be in a pretty good situation to have a very strong MMM-based army. Needed player producing tanks at this point. Siege research has not started up for either player. Marine going to be making its way for Wendell into the third base, making sure that there is no third down just yet. But unfortunate for Wendell that he does miss the entire army moving out here. But with the control of that Zelnaga watchtower, that one Marine is going to lose his life, but he might save the lives of many of his opponents, or excuse me, his buddies back home, knowing that his opponent is moving out. Wendell right now is going to be dropping a third command center, but as soon as that third command center goes up, there is a scan onto it right there. A couple of Marines going to be stimming in there, able to take out that SCV, but there is going to be a rather large engagement. Marines and Marauders going to be taking on Marines and Marauders, but blue player does have a much larger concave right now, and the higher DPS Marines. It does not matter that he does not have the proper upgrades. Those Marines are able to clear out the army of Wendell, even managing to snipe medevac there. Yeah, one of the medevacs does fall, forcing it canceled there onto the command center as well. And the blue player now going to be moving into the mineral line right now. SCV scores to be pulled, but the Marines stim up once again in our command. She can kill so many workers right now. The last two of these Marines are going to be trying to make a last stand here, but one of the medevacs does manage to load up and is in fact able to get out of there. So very nice job there by DarkShadow, forcing the cancel on the third, dropping a third of his own, managing to get out of there with a couple of those units in that medevac, and puts himself into a pretty commanding lead. Just as his 1/1 is going to be finishing up, he starts his armory back at home, and DarkShadow looks to be in a very dominant position right here. Let's take a look at workers killed, all the way up to 9 workers killed. So not a huge amount of workers, not a huge damper on the economy, but when you're already behind, losing an additional 9 workers, really not where you want to be. Armory going to go ahead and start back at home for our orange player as he wants to continue upgrades, does not want to fall behind. But back for our blue player, now that the third base is up as an orbital command, he's going to take a pretty significant economic lead, dropping an additional 5 barracks. Really wants to ramp up production off of that third base. So blue player DarkShadow, very strong lead right now, going to be able to produce a ton of Marines and Marauders. It's actually looking like, for right now, there's nothing but Marines in the composition for DarkShadow. Tank production has finally started for our orange player. Wendell choosing to incorporate those tanks. Siege mode is going to be researched pretty soon here, and Wendell had been shown to, in the past games, really like using those tanks to try to deny the third, really trying to put up some kind of a soft contain and just deny the third as long as possible. But now the third is already up, we'll see if he's able to actually get across the map and assault into his opponent's base. Right now, 3 medevacs are going to be making their way in for somewhat of a doom drop into the base of the blue player. Blue player's economy is so spread out, but his infrastructure is so exposed right now. The Marines are going to be stimming up, trying to get in there, and it looks like they're actually going to be target firing down the orbital command. The first orbital command right here is actually not going to fall right now, not doing a very good job of target firing. There we go. The orbital command does in fact fall, so very nice job by Wendell. If he's able to get escape there with a couple of those medevacs, that would be huge. One medevac falls that was mostly filled with units, but losing that orbital command is going to put DarkShadow back into the Dark Ages as far as economy goes. He was already pretty much mined out up there, so not a huge loss in that respect, but losing the ability to call down mules from that orbital command is actually really big. Unfortunately for DarkShadow, he did not manage to take out any of these reactors. There are still a total of 9 reactor barracks pumping out units right now, so let's take a look at that. 17 Marines at a time. That is absolutely insane. So right now, DarkShadow is choosing to move across the map, managed to take a 4th down here in the 8 o'clock position. Unless these siege tanks are able to get into pretty good areas to try to cover as many Marines as possible, Wendell's actually going to be in a pretty rough spot. One siege tank managed to finally siege up right now, but Marines and Marauders are going to be making their way over, stimming up, and the siege tanks are actually going to be able to put a lot of fire in right now, and I think that Wendell might actually be able to take this fight. He had significantly less bio, but those tanks are doing an incredible job of cleaning absolutely everything up. Look at that right there. Just 2 siege tanks left right now, but the Marines are not able to get in there and kill enough of the stuff. And 2 Marines. Oh, this is an interesting fight right here. 2 Marines versus 2 Marines, but unfortunately for Wendell, the other opponent's Marines did have 2-2 already, so they were able to win that fight. But quite the decisive engagement there. Wendell actually managing to hold on. Unfortunately for him, though, his opponent has taken the economy back into his favor. And look at that. A ton more Marines going to be moving out right there with, I don't even know, that looks like 49 Marines. Is that correct? 59 Marines, and some of them are back there. So that, yeah, that's about 49 Marines. I'm really good at math. Going to be moving in, and Wendell at this point just does have nothing to deal with it. No tanks left on the map. Wendell's macro has slipped quite a bit, and so with that giant Marine ball, scan goes down to try to make sure that there's no tanks up there to try to defend. But SCV is going to have to be pulled off the line right now. Marines and Marauders stim up in the back, but those SCVs just get mowed down. Lambs to be slaughtered, and it looks like Wendell is actually going to lose this series 2-0 as DarkShadow is going to be pulling into the lead right here. And I just do not think that Wendell's got what it takes to come back into this game right now. You say what you want about the kid, but I don't think he's Tasia. I don't know. Tasia, Antigua Shipyard, he might be able to make anything happen. But looks like DarkShadow will be advancing here into the finals of the Clan Buzz Open number 1. So we will be seeing a ZVT best of 5 series between Zwirl and DarkShadow. And it's going to be a very interesting series right now. Wendell is trying to hold on as best as he can, but a large group of Marines going to be making their way into the middle line over here at the 3rd. And a last bastion contingent over here. Some Marines, some Marauders, and a siege tank going to be trying to hold the ramp as long as they possibly can. But Wendell is just trying to collect himself right now. Doesn't want to lose this game. Doesn't want to let go of hope just yet. But DarkShadow sitting at 200 plus 3 started, sitting on all of these bases. He just does not want to give up just yet. And it looks like there's actually going to be a big ferry up into the main over here. Wants to bypass this one siege tank. Doesn't want to have that play too much of a factor, and it looks like I missed something going on over here. The 4th base for DarkShadow is gone at this point, and Marine's going to be coming in, finally managed to take out the last fighting unit for Wendell, And DarkShadow finally does take the game with a GG from Wendell. So very nice play by DarkShadow. I'm excited to see him take on Ro4 in the finals. It's going to be a best-of-5 series coming right back up after this. So thank you once again for watching. I have been casting host Beef, and we'll catch you in the finals.